He says it was an accident. He thought pulling the alarm would open a door based on the fact that the doors to his right there were locked, and there was a sign that he said he was, I think someone said it was confusing. I'll be honest, it doesn't really make sense to me, his explanation. Have you talked to him? What's going on there?
I mean, listen, I think if you actually do see some of the photos of the signs, I think there's something to be said about the government's about to shut down. There's a vote clock that's going down. The exits that are normally open in that building were suddenly closed.
So you pulled the fire alarm?
Either Jamaal Bowman is a massive liar and an even bigger hypocrite, or he's too stupid to know what a fire alarm does. I'm really not sure what's worse.
And just before the House was scheduled to vote on that funding bill, New York Congressman Jamaal Bowman pulled a fire alarm inside the Cannon House office building. This photo has just been released by U.S. Capitol Police. Congressman Bowman told reporters he was trying to get through a door and thought the alarm would open that door.
So during the latest mess of the federal government playing will we, won't we on shutting down the government or agreeing on a budget, Jamaal Bowman decided to try and stop the vote on a stopgap spending bill by channeling his inner middle schooler and pulling the fire alarm. Which is a crime, but it's not January 6th, and he's a Democrat, so he'll get away with it, so who cares, right? I mean, it's such a shock that someone who is clearly such a calm thinker would do such a thing.
Ask them, and then go to the Senate, ask the same questions. They're cowards. They're all cowards. They won't do anything to save the lives of our children at all. Cowards. Pressure them. Force them to respond to the question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until election day on 2024. Let them explain it all the way up to election day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
You know, there's never been
I'm talking about gun violence.
in a school that allows teachers to carry.
Carry guns? You think more guns lead to more death? More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more death. States that have open carry laws have more death. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Calm down, children are dying.
And a quick side note, more guns doesn't mean more death. The rate of gun ownership has gone up in the US at the same time the rate of firearm homicides has gone down. But again, who cares about things like reality? And Republicans reacted exactly how you'd imagine. Kevin McCarthy gave a very slow, stern speech, which was about as intimidating as Joe Biden on a warm day.
I was really appalled of watching Democrats' actions today, to delay it to get to a shutdown. But when we found that an individual elected to Congress would pull a fire alarm, that's a new low. We watched how people have been treated if they've done something wrong in this Capitol. It'll be interesting to see how he is treated on what he was trying to obstruct when it came to the American public.
Honestly, Marjorie Taylor Greene had the best response. How many times will you hear me say that in my life? Pointing out that there are people in jail for this kind of thing.
No, I want to talk about Jamaal Bowman pulling the fire alarm. Capitol Police are questioning him right now because it's on video. That he violated the exact same law that January 6th defendants are being prosecuted for every single day. He violated the exact same law, interrupting an official proceeding, and by pulling a fire alarm. It's on video, and the Capitol Police have the information.
Did you see?
This is outrageous. They have it on video.
Have you seen the video?
I haven't seen the video yet, but I'm going to be demanding it. I'm demanding that the Department of Justice prosecute him the same way they've prosecuted January 6th defendants. It's the exact same law. Exact same law. This is outrageous. He's a Democrat representative. Here's what happened. Catherine Clark, the whip, called the motion to adjourn, and within, I don't know, a few minutes, it was literally right after that, Jamaal Bowman pulls a fire alarm while the vote was happening. You guys, this is unprecedented. The Democrats will do anything to make sure it's shut down because billions of dollars are not going to their favorite country, Ukraine. I mean, you guys really, so Olivia Beavers has tweeted it. This is the law. This is the law. Otherwise obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding or attempts to do so. shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. This is the law that January 6th defendants are being locked up, they're rotting in jail, and they're being prosecuted every single day. Non-violent offenders are being put in jail for this.
You took a video over there. Did you happen to catch like a part of it, or I saw you posted a video on Twitter? Did you catch a part of it?
Look, it's being reported everywhere. You can ask go ask the Capitol Police about it. I'm demanding the video. House admin has already reported it. They have seen the video. It's just unbelievable. He's a representative breaking the law.
And George Santos even responded.
Hi, boys and girls. This is Congressman George Santos. This here is a fire alarm. If you lift this part here and pull this down, you trigger an alarm. Don't do it. Stay good, kids.
Can you believe that anyone was actually surprised this guy was a drag queen? But again, Jamaal Bowman doesn't have to worry. He's a Democrat and they play by different rules. And by that I mean no rules. And when all else fails, the media is still on their side. Here's one example. Jamaal Bowman's spokesperson released a statement explaining that, quote, because I have to quote it because you won't believe me otherwise, Congressman Bowman did not realize he would trigger a building alarm as he was rushing to make an urgent vote. The congressman regrets any confusion. And then Jamaal Bowman came out with a statement. I want to personally clear up confusion surrounding today's events. Today, as I was rushing to make a vote, I came to a door that is usually open for votes, but today would not open. I'm embarrassed to admit that I activated the fire alarm, mistakenly thinking it would open the door. I regret this and sincerely apologize for any confusion this caused. Lots of confusion. But I want to be very clear. This was not me in any way trying to delay any vote. It was the exact opposite. I was trying urgently to get to a vote, which I ultimately did and joined my colleagues in a bipartisan effort to keep our government open. I also met after the vote with the Sergeant-at-Arms and the Capitol Police at their request and explained what had happened. My hope is that no one will make more of this than it was. I am working hard every day, including today, to do my job, to do it well, and deliver for my constituents. Peace and love. Oh, I see. I'm just confused. Those pictures don't mean anything. This is like saying, I'm sorry, you're angry. Axios also reported that Bowman said he thought the alarm would open the door, which isn't how alarms or doors work. And MSNBC, of course, worked overtime to clear up the confusion.
Last thing I want to mention, and then we're going to take a quick break. There was a mention of Jamaal Bowman, Congressman Jamaal Bowman, and the pulling of some sort of fire alarm. And I just want to read for you some of the reporting so you understand what actually went on there. There were some reports that began to emerge about Representative Bowman, who was seen pulling some sort of fire alarm in the Cannon House office building earlier today. We got a statement on that saying Congressman Bowman did not realize he would trigger a building alarm as he was rushing to make an urgent vote. The congressman regrets any confusion, just to clarify some things on that, because I know there was likely some folks kind of scratching their heads wondering what it was they were asking Speaker McCarthy about.
So let's believe for a second that Jamaal Bowman actually didn't realize he would trigger an alarm by pulling the handle marked fire in big red and white letters. Wouldn't that make him the dumbest person to ever be elected to Congress? And yeah, that would be saying something.
There was an interesting moment over the weekend when your New York colleague, Congressman Jamaal Bowman, and he's under investigation for this now after Capitol Police say he pulled a fire alarm in one of the House office buildings. Democrats were trying to delay a final vote on the bill. There he is pulling the fire alarm. He says it was an accident. He thought pulling the alarm would open a door based on the fact that the doors to his right there were locked, and there was a sign that he said he was, I think someone said it was confusing. I'll be honest, it doesn't really make sense to me, his explanation. Have you talked to him? What's going on there?
I mean, listen, I think if you actually do see some of the photos of the signs, I think there's something to be said about the government's about to shut down. There's a vote clock that's going down. The exits that are normally open in that building were suddenly closed.
So you pulled the fire alarm?
So what I am here to say is that House administration and U.S. Capitol Police and Jamaal Bowman are an active, and he's fully participating in saying there was a misunderstanding. But what I do think is important to raise is the fact that Republicans, representatives like Nicole Malliotakis and others, immediately moved to file motions to censure, motions to expel, before there has even been conversations that are finished to even see if there was a misunderstanding here. But what they did do, while they did that, what they did not do was to commit to the same when George Santos was actually found guilty after a thorough investigation of 13 federal charges. He's indicted on everything from wire fraud to actual lying of House investigators, and they have been buddying up and giggling with him on the House floor, and they are protecting someone who has lied to the American people, lied to the United States House of Representatives, lied to congressional investigators, but they're filing a motion to expel a member who, in a moment of panic, was trying to escape a vestibule. Give me a break. And so the idea that there is somehow any kind of equivalence to someone who is actively trying to clear up a situation that he himself admits he's embarrassed. He released a statement last night. He apologized. And they are protecting someone who has not only committed wire fraud, not only defrauded veterans, not only lied to congressional investigators, but is openly gloating about it, is absolutely humiliating to the Republican caucus. And I think that they should really check their own values.
But what's the funniest part here? Jamaal Bowman used to be principal of Cornerstone Academy for Social Action, which is, of course, a public school in New York. And here's how kids there are punished for pulling the fire alarm. A minimum of suspension for 10 days, and at worst, a suspension or expulsion. But luckily for Bowman, he's not in school anymore, he's just in Congress. And breaking the law there is only a problem if you vote the wrong way. It's time for everyone to wake up and realize that Gavin Newsom is running for president. He's not actually campaigning, of course, because that might mean people would start to dig into his horrendous record in California. No, he's running a shadow race, just waiting in the wings, using Joe Biden as a shield while putting all the pieces in place to swoop in at the last minute and become the slimiest, greasiest, most veneered president in history. One part of this run has been his decision to launch a public war against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is openly running for president. He's been firing off petty little jabs at DeSantis about freedom and censorship, without ever admitting, of course, that the freedoms he's actually pushing involve porn in schools, forcing businesses to close, and turning off the electricity every single time it gets hot outside. And then there's the debate between the two coming up at the end of November.
So I think they're getting all the big things wrong. Their streets are not safe because they've indulged in leftist ideology. The economy is really difficult for working people because they're putting left-wing agenda over the well-being of people who are working hard. So it'll be an interesting debate. You know, we're going to debate Gavin Newsom on Fox, I think on November 30th. And I don't think the debate between Florida and California, that debate's over because people have voted with their feet. But I think California represents the petri dish of American leftism. So whatever Biden's doing now, California is a few years ahead of where the left would want to go. So a second Biden term, or heaven forbid a Harris or Newsom, they are going to try to impose California policies across the entire country. That would facilitate an even more rapid decline of this country, whereas Florida represents the opportunity to reverse the decline and usher in an American revival. So I look forward to having that debate.
Gavin Newsom begged DeSantis for this debate, and now that DeSantis has actually accepted, because debating is supposed to be part of the political system, Gavin Newsom is taking that as a win somehow.
This week we learned that it's going to happen, a debate between you and Ron DeSantis, November 30th, Fox News Channel, Sean Hannity in Georgia without a crowd, just the two of you. Why are you doing that, and what is your strategy?
Well, I don't know if that's the right question. Why is he doing it is the right question. He's running, I think. I'm not sure after tonight. But currently he's running for president of the United States.
And you think he's still going to be? You think he'll still be a candidate on November 30th?
That's an open-ended question. Part of me wonders if, the fact that he took this debate, the fact that he took the bait in relation to this debate, shows that he's completely unqualified to be president of the United States. That's my humble first.
Why is that? You're baiting him with the debate offer?
Of course. I mean, why is he debating a guy who's not even running for president when he's running for president?
Amazing. He fell for my trap by agreeing to debate publicly. If DeSantis told him to pound sand, I suppose that would have been falling for his trap too. And all while people are fleeing California in the hundreds of thousands, many of them for Florida. But he's also doing things like showing up at the GOP debate, any excuse to talk about anyone else. But what's the biggest reason I think he's running? It's the fact that Gavin Newsom pumped the brakes on legislation that mirrors exactly what the Democrats in California want, to take control of your children.
In state news now, Governor Gavin Newsom dealt a blow to LGBTQ plus activists by vetoing a bill that would have asked courts to consider a child's gender identity when it comes to custody decisions. The bill would tell judges to weigh parents' support of their child's gender identity or gender expression when determining custody or setting visitation rights. In his veto message, Newsom warned against allowing the government to dictate legal standards for judges to apply. He also noted courts could already consider parents' handling of gender identity. The vetoed bill, AB 957, was authored by Lori Wilson, who is the parent of a transgender child.
See, Gavin Newsom only did this because he knows that courts taking children away from their parents won't exactly play well for people outside of places like California and New York. And pissing off a few people at MSNBC is worth it because those same pissed off people will vote for him regardless. Everything, and I mean everything, Gavin Newsom does is in pursuit of more and more and more power. Even as his own state, California, is going down the toilet, and Gavin Newsom is the one pounding the flush handle. California, the most beautiful state in the country, has turned into a shithole, all because of Gavin Newsom. Because of Gavin Newsom, crime, homelessness, drugs have all exploded. Farmers are being squeezed out, businesses are punished for success, and despite failure after failure, he's climbed the ranks. Why is politics the only industry that rewards failure? Failing up seems like the only way to do it. Gavin Newsom destroyed San Francisco when he was mayor, and they rewarded him. Now he's destroyed the entire state, so Democrats are going to award him again? And why? Gavin Newsom is everything the left say they hate. He's a privileged white kid who rode on the coattails of the Getty family who made billions in oil, while being under the wing of Jerry Brown and with the help of Willie Brown, the man Kamala Harris literally rode to power. Fossil fuel money and family connections, he's also related to Nancy Pelosi by the way, put Gavin Newsom where he is. His only redeeming quality as a Democrat is the fact that he screws his employees' wives. But this grinning maniac wants more. And because we live in a time where shame just doesn't exist, it's not even a problem that Gavin Newsom forced schools to close while his kids went to private school, or restaurants to close while he enjoyed fancy dinners indoors without a mask, or that wineries were kept open because, guess what, he owns wineries.
Tonight, while Governor Newsom is telling all of us to have Thanksgiving dinner outside, he's facing some new fallout for that fancy birthday dinner party he went to at the French Laundry. KPIX5's Joe Vasquez on the new photos and the new questions they raise.
As COVID-19 cases continue to spike, small businesses like this one continue to struggle, which is why the governor continues to catch grief for his recent dinner decision.
Fox 11 in Los Angeles obtained these photos of the governor and his wife at a party in what the restaurant calls an outdoor section. It has walls on 3 sides and the 4th side is open. Nobody's faces were covered. Today we learned 2 top executives from the California Medical Association were also among the 12 guests. To be clear, the French Laundry does appear to have been following state guidance for restaurants in Napa County at the time. But the governor has been preaching something different in public. He's been asking Californians not to gather with people from more than 3 households at a time.
Well, I want to apologize to you because I need to preach and practice.
Honestly, I'm not even sure shame would matter because Gavin Newsom is basically the Patrick Bateman of politics.
There is an idea of a Patrick Bateman, some kind of abstraction. But there is no real me, only an entity, something illusory. And though I can hide my cold gaze, and you can shake my hand and feel flesh gripping yours, and maybe you can even sense our lifestyles are probably comparable, I simply am not there.
But this is who he's always been. There's a video making the rounds recently of Gavin Newsom being interviewed back in 2009 that really sums him up.
Mr. Mayor, good to see you. Let me start by asking you, where have you been?
$522.2 million shortfall. Last year we had a 570.
Wait a minute.
5.6. Hank, I'm here to talk about tomorrow, today and tomorrow. Not yesterday. I've been working my tail off. I've been out. I think I had 69 public events in the last 2.5 weeks.
You know, I heard you say that on the radio today, and then I asked your staff, well, where's the printout? Where are these events? And your press person said, well, this is stuff he just goes to.
Yeah, these are all public events.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But look, you know the criticism that you have been dodging, not just the press, but also the public, that you have been sulking after dropping out of the governor's race, that you're having a temper tantrum. What do you want to say about it?
I want to say that I've been working my tail off. I've been here focused in San Francisco. I think I was gone 2 days out of the city in the last 3 weeks. We've done 69 public events. I've been as engaged or more engaged than ever. I don't read the press. It is comical. some of the things that have been written.
So the cartoon in the Chronicle that depicted you as a crying baby with the headline, Mayor, Mayor, off the wall, you didn't see that?
No.
You didn't see it?
Who reads that stuff? I don't read that stuff. I focus on work. I focus on getting things done.
You know, it's not just the press, though, that you've been absent from. I mean, I have a list of the events that you have missed.
Which ones?
Well, you want a few. The Urban Land Institute. You were scheduled to speak before 6,000 people.
I had the flu that week.
The China SF conference that was also there. They were counting on you. The Silver Spur Awards luncheon.
That was the only one I missed that I actually knew about. No, I took
2,000 people.
After I think you're focused on the Spur. I actually wish I had made. I was sick as a dog, and that was on a Monday, and was gone for 3 days.
Some of your staff members have left.
Yeah, as I said, I made a lot of changes here.
You went to Hawaii.
For how long?
Didn't tell your own press secretary. He was blindsided.
Right.
Had to go out and tell the reporters, well, he's under the weather. Didn't know his own boss was on a plane to Hawaii, was blindsided. These are people who work for you 15, 16 hours a day.
I don't know where you come up with this, and it sort of misleads people and creates a sense of something that really doesn't exist, and so it's unfortunate. But again...
But that is exactly what happened, Mr. Mayor. The press secretary gave misinformation to the press, and then he resigned.
Yes, yeah.
Curiously, he resigned after this.
Yeah, I don't know that this is much to do about nothing. My chief of staff was aware, and to the extent that my chief of staff apparently that morning didn't communicate it to the press secretary, I guess that was the case.
But then, when it was time to talk about the city's finance problems, Newsom seemed out of patience.
Deficit, $522 million.
Yeah, it's a big deficit.
What does this mean?
Just
Layoffs?
a big deficit, a lot of work ahead of us.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, we just got a lot of work ahead of us, big deficit.
At the end, he couldn't leave the room fast enough.
Off the record, I'm amazingly disappointed. Amazingly. I just am, personally, you know?
The fact is, Gavin Newsom is running for president. Here's my prediction. He's going to wait until the last minute. Joe Biden will be cheered for bowing out when it becomes clear that he's a corpse being wheeled around like a human puppet. And Newsom will sadly have to step in like he's an evil Disney character, which he is.
Mufasa's death is a terrible tragedy. But to lose Simba, who had barely begun to live, for me, it is a deep, personal loss. So it is with a heavy heart that I assume the throne.
But whether it's 2024 or 2028, Gavin Newsom is coming. And we're going to have to deal with the idea of President Newsom sooner or later. If you don't want the country to turn into California, and by California I mean out-of-control crime, drugs, poop on the street, skyrocketing prices, and government indoctrination in every single direction, then we need to wake up and realize that Joe Biden is the least of our worries. So on Tuesday, Kevin McCarthy was removed as House Speaker.
Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, has just been bounced.
On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
As of right now, no one is in charge of Congress.
And interim Speaker Patrick McHenry took out his anger on the gavel.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Don't let the bow tie fool you. He's dangerous. So here's the thing. I'm not a fan of Kevin McCarthy, mainly because I'm not a fan of any politician. Because we shouldn't be fans of politicians. They are nothing more than glorified DMV workers we pay to handle the admin of running the country. But that's how we should judge them. Not on, well, at least he's fighting, but whether they're moving the ball down the field in the right direction. And is that happening right now? No. Again, I don't really care that he was voted out, but I do care why he was voted out, and what it says about the conservative movement. He wasn't voted out by a Republican majority or with someone better waiting in the wings to immediately replace him, or even because he did something specifically wrong. After all, he did bring cuts. Not big cuts, but some cuts are better than no cuts. He brought cuts to the table. He brought separate votes over Ukraine funding to the table. This was supposed to be at least a small conservative victory, but that wasn't good enough, and instead Kevin McCarthy is gone. And why? Because we have a massive seriousness problem right now. And by that I mean there are no serious people anywhere. The person behind McCarthy's firing is one of the least serious people supposedly on our side, Matt Gaetz. When he's not moonlighting as Jack Nicholson in Batman or enjoying time in his vacation home up Trump's arse, he's doing what he loves best. playing the part of a principled conservative to make himself a media star. And that's what this was all about. Because what was Matt Gaetz doing this whole time? He was pumping out fundraising emails.
Mr. Speaker, we've been here for 8 months with one of the tightest majorities in modern history. Yet look at the accomplishments of this majority, this conservative majority, with the majority of Republicans voting for the strongest border security in my lifetime, fighting against this incomprehensible energy policy that's driving up energy costs 40%, utility and gasoline payments, pushing Americans into energy poverty. We passed legislation to unleash America's energy resources, pushing back this administration's brainless policies on energy. We've passed legislation to pull back, to stop spending $4.8 trillion that I want to make note. My friends that are carrying this motion to vacate opposed. We've passed legislation to streamline regulations, permitting, environmental laws for the first time in 40 years. Again, my friends here opposed. We strengthened work requirements for welfare to get people back into the workforce. Again, my friends over here opposed. I keep wondering, what is going on? Are we redefining what conservative is? What's going on in this country today? What's going on in this body? Where you have Freedom Works, Heritage, Chip Roy, and Jim Jordan say something's conservative, and these folks say it's not, and they're right. And all of a sudden, my phone keeps sending text messages. Text messages saying, hey, give me money. Oh, look at that. Oh, look, give me money. I filed the motion to vacate. Using official actions to raise money. It's disgusting. It's what's disgusting about Washington.
And what did Matt Gaetz do the second McCarthy was kicked out, while everyone on his side was working out what the hell they're going to do now, because Matt Gaetz has no plan? He was speaking to the media he pretends to hate, feeding them their favorite diet, Republicans eating each other.
Congressman Gaetz, if not McCarthy, then...
Paralyzed the House of Representatives today. To whose benefit? People have called you a narcissist. People say that is to your benefit alone. Is it to the benefit of you and to Donald Trump?
It's the benefit of this country that we have a better Speaker of the House than Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy couldn't keep his word. He made an agreement in January regarding the way Washington would work, and he violated that agreement.
Don't get me wrong, I have no problem with conservatives fighting each other for the direction of our movement. But there's a big difference between people debating or arguing or tweeting back and forth at each other in isolation in pursuit of something worthwhile, and undermining the entire movement in pursuit of personal fame and fortune. Again, it's not like the entire Republican Party ousted Kevin McCarthy. It was all of the Democrats and a handful of Republicans led by Matt Gaetz. Our side is constantly talking about purity tests and showing loyalty and being principled, but Gaetz teamed up with the worst people in the room to get what he wanted. This was a dream for Democrats. They got to kick out the Republican Speaker of the House and let an attention whore like Matt Gaetz suck out all of the oxygen in the room, so as a bonus, other stories get buried, like whether the Biden administration has been infiltrated by Iranian spies, or Gavin Newsom filling Dianne Feinstein's seat with an abortion lobbyist from Maryland, or Biden's impeachment. It was just reported that Biden is cancelling another $9 billion in student loan debt. Would be nice if we had one part of the government we still controlled, wouldn't it? Let alone the fact that chaos is what the Democrats want right now. That's why Jamaal Bowman pulled the fire alarm, another story we're not talking about now. Ilhan Omar was literally licking her lips over what Matt Gaetz was doing. Here's a piece of life advice. If Ilhan Omar is licking her lips over something, it's either a family member or a piece of terrible policy. And unless Matt Gaetz has a Somali parent we don't know about, we know it's the second one. Look, I get it that a bunch of conservatives out there don't like Kevin McCarthy. I don't particularly like Kevin McCarthy. But politics is all about picking the lesser of two evils and trying to make the best of the shitty hand we're dealt until we get dealt a better hand. We don't have the White House, we don't have the Senate, the only thing we have is the House, and we have a razor-thin majority. How does sparking chaos and grinding House business to a halt help us achieve anything? How does giving the Democrats everything they want help us achieve anything? How does giving the left-wing media everything they want help us achieve anything? How can you call yourself a true conservative if you're working hand-in-hand with the worst people on the other side? And how can you do this with zero plan for what comes next? Well, Matt Gaetz can do it because he doesn't care. He's getting everything he wants out of this because he feeds off chaos. And he's willing to throw his own side under the bus if it means he's trending on social media, going on every news show in the country, and raising as much money from people as possible. And a lot of the people around him are also really happy about this. They feed off chaos too. Everyone who feeds off clicks, attention, controversy, they're delighted. The memes are just flooding in. This sort of conservative doesn't care if we win, lose, or draw as long as they're making money. And it's way easier to make money when we lose. Look at the state of the GOP in the last few years. We've lost governor mansions, we've lost state houses, we've lost House seats, we've lost the Senate, we've lost the White House. And people like Matt Gaetz keep on rising. This might be great for his fundraising, or his social media following, or his future job in media, but it's doing nothing to help us move the needle in the right direction, which is the actual job we pay these clowns to do. We've become so used to unserious and petty battles of personalities that politics is like a reality TV show or something, that we've forgotten about the war we're in. And if we lose this war, people die. That's the reality of inflation, unemployment, bad foreign policy. Kicking out Kevin McCarthy might be great for the meme game and for Matt Gaetz' PR team, but if you have to team up with the entire Democratic Party to get what you want, and spit in the face of almost every other Republican to do it, you're not on our team anymore. People have to understand that our movement is being hijacked by unserious people taking advantage of serious concerns, but their goal isn't to win. Their goal is to trend on Twitter. And if trending is the goal, why bother trying to win? Winning is difficult, but losing is easy, especially when you can make a lot of money doing it.